Mr. Garr, you have 3 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, with the question of how long they were at the scene. The record says that they were at the scene for 5 to 10 minutes. That includes in the car, walking up to the door, which my friend conceded was a minute or two, and then back in the car and leaving. With respect to the bracketing just means that the dog is getting excited, moving his head around. This is a passive alert dog. They get a little bit excited and they sit down. It's no different than what a neighbor's dog could do when they get to the front door. Second, with respect to state law, we do think it's important. And Florida has a decision, State versus Morse.
I thought what the dog does, according to the police officer's testimony, is he gave him a long leash so the dog would lead him to the drugs. What the dog did, I thought, according to what I read, was go past the motorcycle to make sure, and the officer said this, you don't know if the drugs are in the motorcycle, you don't know if they're in the garage, you don't know where they might be. So the dog is permitted to roam around until he catches the scent. Is that accurate?
Yes, they're walking up the common path, and you can see it from the picture at the appended to the brief, and then up to the front door. It's near the front door where he alerted by sitting down.
But the point is that he's sniffing all the way around.
He's sniffing. He's breathing. That's right.
Yeah.
With respect to state law, State versus Mormon, 394 South 2nd, 408 at 409. This was a case that came up during oral argument in the Supreme Court. It says that under Florida law, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy in the porch, taking into account that visitors and salesmen can come up to the front door, and I think that's pertinent here. Justice Kennedy, if you don't like the contraband rationale, then I hope you would consider the knowingly exposed to the public rationale. Here, the record does show that drug houses do vent the stuff outside. It's page A48 of the Joint Appendix. That's in the warrant where they talk about what the air conditioning unit does to the scent of marijuana in the house. We know that they knew about that because Officer Bartelt came across the mothballs. That's on page 100 of the Joint Appendix. Outside of the house, the mothballs were outside of the house, which means that they knew that the outers were outside.
I think, Mr. Garr, that you have to concede that this is a case about police use, call it a technology, call it a whatever you want to call it, of something that enhances what normal people can sense. And then the question becomes, do you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in basically people just having their normal senses rather than some technique or method or technology that enhances those senses? So that your implied consent or expectations about your neighbor might differ fundamentally, if the neighbor comes and knocks on your door, or if the neighbor brings his magnifying glass and his microscope and everything else and starts testing everything around it. You might say, no, I'm not there for that.
Well, and I think that gets back to our point that this is a dog that's been used by humans for centuries by scent, and in that respect is quite different than the helicopter that was used for aerial surveillance in Florida versus Riley.
Thank you, counsel. Counsel, case is submitted.